Alright, hopefully this is working. I'm just gonna give this a go. This is production pace for September, October, November. Today is November 20th. Quick pause menu. So the roadmap, I already went on that Tennessee trip and that went well. I'm working on the State Farm stuff and the sales. I gotta start from scratch on TicketDAO, and that's still in the back of my mind. I started the song making progress, and that's also in the back of my mind. Production pace, we're filming that now. I gotta do another Whatnot stream. That's been huge for the Twisted Logic thing, aside from vlogging. And then we have the production queue for State Farm on the way left. I actually just started the social media building on Instagram, so that's getting a go. And then super user, we got production pace September, which is this. That helps me get into the readings. And then the Meyer-Brigg I gotta get into. And I plan to repost the YouTube videos on Reddit to gain traction for the channel. And then for Twisted Logic, I'm still doing achievement hunting. I'm gonna do another Whatnot stream coming up. I'm playing Marvel Rivals a lot. Working on Stygian music because I kind of found the style that I like to do. And then starting over on TicketDAO. It's kind of in order from left to right on priority for me. State Farm all the way on the left. Active income, super easy for me. And then I can trickle my energy down for when I have a moment. I'll record for production pace. And so we come to this screen, and I got a bunch of XP in the top right. We look at level 2, and now it goes to level 3. Oh, let's go back. Sorry, went too fast. Still going too fast. Level 3. Production pace being uploaded as part of me being level 3. Clubbing, going out and putting myself out there is XP. Gaming with Griffin is XP. 9 to 5 income, I'm going to track that as XP for giving myself a reward for grinding 9 to 5. And then if I work other projects, I'll give myself extra XP. Finances, still working on this. 10 grand is pretty accurate still. And Financial Kingdom, I was being very ambitious with this slide. Bottom left, the battlefield. We're always going to be working on that debt, so that's going to stick around. The farm is going to change. I ultimately decided to get rid of, Coinbase on the way right and Fundrise, I got rid of that. LendMe, no one paid me back on the loans I issued them. So that app was kind of a waste of $300, but it was a good experience. So not putting that in the bucket. Acorns, I liquidated that whole thing because the $12 monthly subscription fee just didn't seem worth it, and I didn't get an annual pay option the same way I did Robinhood. So ADP is the same, and then I would go into SoFi and Robinhood, and that's where it would end. State Farm with US Bank, so really just like 3 accounts. And Charles Schwab, I just liquidated that. I'm going to move it into Robinhood, so Charles Schwab and Acorns both moved into Robinhood is the update, because this model where I would trickle what little income I had into like all these different platforms just isn't not realistic and sustainable, I found. And then property and the vaults is what we're working towards. SoFi has like the savings account vault, one of those emergency funds that's from Acorns, which is now closed. Acorns only now just gave me like a 4% APY on my money, which took forever. So they just are moving too slow as a bank for me. And even if they like got really big, they wouldn't compete with Robinhood at all. So moving forward with that, I could say more about it, but we got more production to get done. So Right Thing Right Now, The Book of John, and Company of One are the books right now. So this, there we go. Climb your second mountain. Lou Gehrig. It's a good thing to be a halfback, but it's a mighty bad thing if at 40 all you can say of a man is that he was a good halfback. So just if you are only good at one thing, so like if I was only good at just insurance, you know, that would be a mighty bad thing according to Lou Gehrig, which, you know, kind of true. A mountain that is less about you, less about the stuff, less about beating or crushing or extracting, and far more about everyone else, more about the all of us. So the second mountain is just like having that sense of community and teaching from the heart, I suppose. And then nothing good results from trying to chase down gratitude or recognition for what you've done. When you've done well and another is benefited by it, why act like a fool? Why, like a fool, do you look for a third thing on top? Credit for the good deed or favor in return, Marcus Aurelius would ask himself. So, the fate of a leader to earn a bad reputation while doing good things. If you're doing it for the thanks, how good are you really? To earn a bad reputation while doing good things stuck with me for a while. That was a really important one. And looking for the third thing is the second chapter. There you go. I'm getting pretty good at this, so now I'll know what the next slide is. Stop asking for the third thing. So that's the additional chapter, and you know, when you do a good job, that's where the fate of a leader to earn a bad reputation while doing good things comes into play. To continue that, Ryan Holiday actually quotes the Bible. Oh, I got time. The Bible reminds us that in Matthew 6:2, not to sound the trumpets announcing what you have done. There you go. Here we go. Jesus also reminds us, his followers, that when one looks back behind them when plowing, they allow the horses to drift. So it goes when we look back and admire what we've done, relishing specialness and generosity. So, I mean, just when you get a roll on, you can't stop to admire everything. You gotta stay in motion. It's a distraction from moving forward. It's a lapse in judgment. But it's hard. And then, I guess this is the chapter where I got this. Who better to do it than you? What's surprising, or rather disappointing, is it to find out you did it for the wrong reasons? So you want to do things, and, you know, who better than you to do those things, because you want to. Wow, this is a long chapter. Stop asking for the third thing. That's selfless, that you were more self-involved than selfless, that it didn't come from a place of strength and generosity, but insecurity or thirst. They're ungrateful? No, it's ungrateful to expect more than the pleasure of knowing why you did what you did. Do it with a smile. Be the person who just goes through the world doing their job, doing good, never expecting or asking for anything. Let's just focus on doing the good we can do. Let's forget about the credit. Let's forget about the gratitude. We don't need anyone to appreciate us, to recognize us. We do good because we are good, and everything else is extra. And the next chapter is give them hope. After stop asking for the third thing, because it doesn't do you any good. Again, let me just reiterate. It's a lapse of judgment. And moving forward. The Book of John. Book of John was pretty interesting for the start. I believe this is book 3 of 4 or 4 of 4. I can't think right now. But we're starting Book of John. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. John the Baptist and Jesus, the Lamb of God, who takes away the sin of the world. I found that interesting, that I always heard that phrase, in the beginning was the Word and the Word was God, but I didn't know that actually was just the beginning of the Book of John. And then I found it interesting that when they were talking about Jesus, the Lamb of God, this is where they said, he who takes away the sin of the world. So his crucifixion, he forgives the world. He takes away their sin. He forgives you. And the Book of John gets really quick with the story. The wine miracle is told instantly in chapter 2, along with Passover, and a quick story of Jesus flipping over the merchant tables, and namely speaking to the Jews. And this is the first time out of the books, Jews, it used to be just Pharisees, but they're just called Jews. And so the Jews said to him, "What sign do you show us for doing these things?" And Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "It has been taken 46 years to build this temple, and you will raise it up in 3 days." But he was speaking about the temple of his body. So, lots of prophecies here. Lots of interesting things on the beginning of this chapter. That when therefore he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover feast, many believed his name when they saw the signs that he was doing. But Jesus, on his part, did not entrust himself to them, because he knew all people and needed no one to bear witness about man, for he himself knew what was in man. Lots of foreshadowing in John. I'm interested to see what new information we get from John. Chapter 3 will be next. And then the books of knowledge. We got Company of One that we're working on. Defining a company of one, I just kind of went through chapters 5 through 9. Determining the right mindset, personality matters, the one only customer, the one customer. So there's more on that. Scalable systems, teach everything you know. So this is how I did the setup. So chapter 5, purpose over passion with the right mindset. How can you align your day and schedule to be focus on single tasking? The purpose of your business and whether it shows up in your actions, not just marketing material. So again, I don't know. This book is very general and brief. Chapter 6, personality matters. What brand do you exude? That working on all the brands at the same time. But, you know, you don't have to be just one brand. You could be a bunch of brands. Work on them all at the same time. How you could infuse your own distinct and unique personality into your products and company image. Showing you right now with production pace, and I'm doing my unique curiosity for these books. And then the next thing would be where you could lean on what makes your business or product quirky or different to garner attention in the market. That statement specifically is why I am working on the State Farm Instagram, and my coworker is telling me that it's a horrible idea. And out of all of the ideas I have, this one is the worst. But it honestly is going to be a great idea because it's already turning out great. I'll give you a sneak peek right now. So here's the sneak peek. Very small, but those bubbles are all the products. And I'm starting to just post on there, and he's like, oh, you don't want to get sued or anything. And I'm like, I think it'll be fine if I just do the right thing, if I just post good educational content. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. Then chapter 7, the one customer. There's a common misconception that empathy is for the weak. In fact, it is the most useful tool to drive real profit. Successful customers build successful businesses. Again, going back to the Instagram, you got to educate everybody. What could you do to ensure that your existing customers feel both happy and acknowledged? I got to write that down, actually. And then the last one, how you could create opportunities for word-of-mouth referrals. Kind of been working on that. Let me just write this down really quick. What you could do to ensure that your existing customers feel both happy and acknowledged. That's going in the State Farm book. So, Chapter 8, Scalable Systems. This is where you could use automation and technology to scale so your business doesn't have to. And I've been using ChatGPT a lot more, and that's been a huge thing on Scalable Systems. That's $20 subscription to that ChatGPT, and I'm rocking and rolling. How you could outsource tasks that require massive scale goes back to like the graphic design thing. I usually just ask ChatGPT to generate me images based on the prompts I'm giving it. How you could add personalization and segmentation to your one-to-many channels. I'm doing that with all the branding, different ways I want to express myself on the internet. And then the internet is the one-to-many channel, whereas otherwise you'd have to go on TV or on a billboard or just out in the world and physically meet people. Otherwise, you run the risk of being available for distraction during every hour of the day. That was kind of today for me. Thank God I'm making it up with this YouTube video, but today we didn't get any internet leads, and I kind of just twiddled my thumbs and kept the stand open, but I feel like, I got to do better tomorrow. Chapter 9, Teach Everything You Know. Ideas alone are worthless. The downside of sharing is nothing. Teaching builds authority. That's one to remember. What could you begin to share or teach your customers or audience? How could you focus on exciting ideas than protecting them? What could you do to share that? What you could share that would position you or your company as an authority in a niche? I'm Jake from State Farm. Maintain. Okay, so then after the books and knowledge, so just to close up on this, some of these chapters did help a little bit, and I feel like that's a good tweet. We'll make a good tweet. We'll make an example of like how easy it is to post. Ideas alone are worthless, period. The downside of sharing is nothing. Teaching builds authority, period. Post. Hopefully I didn't double post that quote because that's a good one. And another one on leadership. When it came down to it, you'll just tell them you abandoned your post. Wow. Leadership is about earning a bad reputation for doing the right things. Grow up and realize nobody's got your back. Grab yours. Yeah. What happened to my post? Oh well. Moving on. Skills transformed into this journal. iOS came out with an update, and I can make a bunch of journals out of my single journal. So there's 313 entries on that, and that is where my upload count and reflections for skills, they're manifesting in that journal. I'm reflecting more, kind of like this video log thing. I could show another screenshot, probably will on the next episode, just everything, all my journals that I've made, because I still use progress save file. That's something for reflection, like a Pokemon save thing. I'll have to go over that because I've expanded on that now, and that's why I'm able to record this episode. Therapy, I was just connecting like the emotional drivers to structural levers, like whether that's inside the mind or outside. So like this is all mushed on the right, so just from top to bottom, I guess, varying in complexity from top to bottom too. You go on the top right, obsessive health is less than healthy. I was obsessing over my health. I had a trainer, I was trying to eat right, and I was unhealthy because I was obsessing over my health. Effort, outcome, meaning, identity, motivation, more effort. I think that's just to motivate me. Your effort gets you your outcome, which comes from your meaning, which comes from your identity, which is your motivation, and then that just makes you put in more effort. And then the wise mind, that's something I've been going through on therapy, along with the cognitive wheel through therapy and State Farm, which is just recognizing the multiple layers behind it. So you basically you want to take the cognitive wheel and the wise mind and smush them together, and that's what the bottom part is. All of those things smushed together, and the triangle on the bottom center middle, that's the cognitive wheel, and that thing needs to spin. And the way it spins is with the wise mind, by using emotion and logic. It'll move the pulley and it'll move it in a circle. I couldn't animate it, or I mean I could have, but I didn't. And the idea is that with the cognitive triangle, you got emotions, actions, and thoughts, or your emotions being your attitude, your actions being your behaviors, and your thoughts being the technique, the different words you use, because you can use particular words to assist your sales pitch. You don't want to say particular words that invoke certain emotions, because then you're going to lose your sale. So that leads into emotions. You got to recognize, like, you've earned emotional control. Emotions are something that you have to control. And then with actions, you've proven that you're productive. So you no longer have to feel like you need to prove something, because you've proven that you're productive by showing up to work, by reflecting, by putting it all together. And then that is what gets your outcome, which is the part that's the spinny part of it, because outcome isn't like something tangible, kind of like the emotional control and the productivity, but the outcome comes through with the sales and the followers and the dollars. But those are also the only measurable wins. Like, you can measure showing up every day, but that, like, you gotta find what productivity means to you and how it applies to you and your business. The structural levers, as you go across to the right, the actual things, so that the outside levers, so like in your body, you can have clarity, you can build a rhythm. So clarity is like defining your goal, for example. That'll bring clarity. And then you can get into a rhythm, and that physical rhythm you can get into to get yourself back into motion if you find yourself in a rut. And tracking, so like we talked about with productivity, it isn't the whole picture, but it's part of it. But tracking helps you prove that you're productive. Challenge yourself. If you create an artificial challenge for yourself, you'll build emotion, because these are the logic pieces to build emotion. And so the psychic levers, the inside, now you get inside, you get identity. I am this type of person. And then symbolism, you put up symbolism, you wear a certain ring, and that goes into your identity almost. Like, this is proof because I have this football championship ring that I'm a champion for 2025. And then the narrative kind of goes back with clarity and identity. The narrative you choose, the mindset. Oh, I'm a loser. Oh, I'm a winner. And then integration. Integration is when you interweave different parts of your life together. So that's what I've done with the brands, the different sides of me that I want to share and grow. I integrate them all together. And that connection helps keep all of my ideas together, and it keeps the circle going, and that'll get the sales and the followers and the dollars. And then furthermore, we went over a bunch of XP stuff. So this is a bunch of XP stuff I was working on, like growth moments and whatnot. I basically was looking at, and then the buckets on the top, just to go over that in business. When you're looking at your client, you're basically looking at no info, and then eventually you'll get info on them, and you move them in that data bucket, and you're just trying to gather as much info as possible until they become a lead, and you're quoting them, and then that'll get your sale. And then they're in your book on the way right. And then if they fall out of your book, then that's a lapse can bucket, and then all these buckets of people you can call on. Pie chart, lead sources, so that's lead sources. Yeah, I don't know, this was a hard slide to make. This whole presentation was kind of hard, but the Tennessee trip went well, my birthday went well, November's going well. I just kind of have to keep up with it. I put new goals on the board. I'll have to revisit this better in the next video. I want to get that Lego Galaxy thing because I have the lights for it. I need to get my car. I need to get that house at the bottom for $20K. I don't know about a $20K house, but I think it's $20K down maybe was the calculation. And the Genesis would be $30 to $50K down. I really want the Galaxy Fold just to own piece of hardware, that folding hardware. And I also want the Meta Ray-Bans because I want to record videos. I want to like type messages with my eyeball. It'd be really cool. So that is my update for September, October, and November. Until next time.